Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, I'm John Sisbedia Truner. Welcome to Fallout 76 Wastelanders, which is... where do we even begin with Fallout 76? Right, it's probably fair to say Fallout 76 has had a difficult year and a half since it came out. Savaged by critics, mocked by many, and Bethesda's really struggled to diagnose what was wrong and specifically how to treat it. They've tried all sorts of things over the past year and a half, tossing various bits and pieces of the game to see if any of it would work. There was survival mode that briefly existed, then was taken away. It just didn't work right. I didn't enjoy that myself. Then there was things like Nuclear Winter, a Battle Royale mode, which actually, to my mind, was actually almost surprisingly good. I've actually played more of that in the last 6 months than I've played of the base game. It's actually my favourite bit of the game so far. But for the most part, the plan's just been stuff. Don't change anything major, just pile more stuff on top of what we've already got. Now, some of that stuff was pretty good. The Pioneer Scout stuff. Some of those little missions were diverse and interesting. That was really positive. Some of that stuff was terrible. The Vault raids, they were a really, really boring, grindy slog. And as a result, they've literally just been taken out of the game. Those are now gone for the time being, and that is very, very good news indeed. But for the most part, despite the side modes and the piling up of more stuff, Fallout 76 at its core has not changed much in the last year and a half. Until today. You see, for me, one of the most frustrating things about Fallout 76 thus far has been the map that the game actually takes place on is a really, really damn good map. It's big, it's interesting, it's got lots of varied biomes on it. It's a good setting for a Fallout game. Unfortunately, the game that actually inhabits that world just wasn't Fallout-y. All of the stuff that we think of when we think of Fallout games wasn't in Fallout 76. People, towns, choices, consequences, companions, a big, living, interesting world that you can go and interact with and impact with the decisions that you make going forward. Staples that are at the absolute core of what Fallout is. All of that was missing, so despite the trappings of a Fallout game, much of Fallout 76 didn't really feel very Fallout-y. But yes, as I say, this is the point where pretty much all of that gets added back in. NPCs, towns, narrative quests, choices, consequences, companions, all of that stuff's back in, which puts Fallout 76 in a really weird place today. Because for some people, this is going to be their first exposure to Fallout. It's just come out on Steam today. That's the version I'm playing on right now. But for many people who bought the game originally and thus have this for free, because this is a free update, there's a very real possibility for them this might be Fallout 76's last chance. Some people might be willing to just come back and, nose in to see how all this works. So, a lot's riding on this, folks. So, say hello to Rob, our brand new protagonist who's going to be helping us through the new early game. Absolutely lovely. Now, while I'm just going through the vault and collecting everything together, grabbing the supplies, diddly-diddly-day. So, time to make a little confession to you here, ladies and gentlemen, which is... I did have access to the private test server. So the early game here, I have already played this. Sorry I couldn't tell you at the time, my life isn't worth the trouble that I got into if I'd have actually broken embargo, started talking about this, that and the other. But I've only played like the very first opening bit. I decided I didn't want to play too much, so most of it would still be a surprise and I could share it with you. But yes, what you're about to see, the very opening bit, I am familiar with. And I've got some thoughts on all of this, let me tell ya.
One of Vault 76's last remaining residents finally awakens.
Though straight away we do run into some, slightly confusing issues pertaining to what on earth is the lore of Fallout 76 and specifically Vault 76, because it is now canonically about a year since Reclamation Day happened, because the Overseer's already gone out, the Scorch Plague has been lessened, if not 100% eliminated, because the Scorch is still out there, so all the stuff that the people were doing when the game came out, all of that still happened. But characters who are leaving the vault now are actually leaving the vault now. So the robots make sarky comments about how you've just been sort of hanging out in here, in the vault, by yourself for the past year. Right, cards, and also I'll take the glasses and the pen, thank you. But yes, the cards should get me my first level up, absolutely lovely. And we're going to be taking ourselves a bit of perception, because one, as you're all aware, I desperately need it, but I've got other reasons for that as well. We'll get to them in time. And Concentrated Fire, of course, makes an excellent first perk, because then you can start targeting, well, the picture shows the leg. No, target the head. Always target the head. Lots of bonus free damage right there. And the moment we step outside, Wayward Souls discover the fate of Appalachia, and on top of that, yes, a big old sign saying, The Wayward opening soon. So, Fallout 76 Wastelanders is a weird little combination of what you know and what you don't. So the existing quests have had to have a bit of a refresh. They're all still there, but they don't really make a huge amount of sense anymore in their original form. So some of them have had to be refreshed a little bit. So this little guy here, Pennington, you used to speak to him and he would just point you straight in the direction of the Overseer's camp down the road. But now that doesn't happen.
Those young ladies down there, they seem exceedingly alive. They haven't yet made any untoward advances, but perhaps you could speak to them? Verify their intentions are civil?
Of course, from Rob's point of view, he's just been hanging out in the vault for the last year. He had no idea there was no one in Appalachia up to this point, so that's a pretty bloody ominous thing for Pennington to say. And yes, indeed, obviously, we've got Fallout 3 style speech, so now you can go into a little bit of detail, learn what's going on, diddly-diddly-dee. But yeah, you used to ask him about the Overseer, or rather he just told you about the Overseer, because there didn't used to be a proper dialogue system in this game. Now there is, with a little kind of, record of what's been set up in the top left there. But these days, if you ask him about the Overseer...
Yes, but it's been some time. But she was a resourceful woman. I'm sure she's all right.
So on this occasion, no new quest marker, because the game now considers the new game opening to be going to the Wayward, the bar that's down the road, and speaking to those guys. That's now the early game, sort of replacing the stuff you used to do chasing down the Overseer's camp.
Maybe... Wait, a vault dweller? Hey there!
Though sometimes the new system does create some moments of accidental hilarity where, yes, they sort of act like you're the only person here. So, Lacey over there decided to desperately try and call me over because they just spotted a vault dweller. Which, makes me feel a bit bad for poor Gav D88 right there, who was totally already there, but apparently they're just not willing to acknowledge him, at least in my universe.
Whoa. Just a friend here, not a threat. Just had some questions for you. You came out of the vault, right? I thought it was empty. Wait, is the door still open?
Canonically, no. After the people left, it sealed itself shut. But also, canonically, people keep coming out of it. Loads of people. Up to a year afterwards. So, honestly, it'll probably be opened again in a few minutes, but I'm not allowed to say that. Because, officially, the door is supposed to seal, and the vault is actually supposed to, turn off life support after it's been resealed. Despite the fact people keep coming. Okay, let's just pretend Vault 76 makes sense.
We got a tip from the Wayward. Heard of the place? A new bar down the road. So this guy told us that...
After you gave him the last of our caps?
And he said that inside that vault is the... that's where the big one is. Our last chance to turn our lousy luck around.
And go on, yes indeed, the big one. We've trapped it, but I barely made it out with my life.
Wait, what?
Ay, pendeja, he's jerking you around, Lacey. Face it. We got scammed.
But those were the last of our caps. No. Someone has to know something. We're just gonna stick it out until we find them.
So yes, indeed, the new quest begins with reference to a big one.
I certainly could, but since you decided to yank our chains, I'm gonna say no.
And there we go. We've now got ourselves something a little bit interesting going on here, which is, consequences. I was mean to her a second ago, so she's not willing to tell me about the big one. But when I played this in the private test server, this conversation went differently. I was nice to her, so as a result of that, when I asked her about the big one, she told me, hey, there's a treasure. Hello there, new vault dweller. There's a treasure, and that's what's brought everyone back to West Virginia. Now, obviously, we'll be learning about that down the road in a second, but... the conversations are actually pretty darn good, arguably better than the ones in Fallout 3, just in the way of there being more social context and consequences. If you're nice to someone, you genuinely can learn more than if you're a jerk to them, so there's actually some promising stuff in that there. And if I ask about the Overseer...
Maybe I did. Or maybe you should ask the thing you've got trapped inside the vault.
Once again, I suffer the consequences for being a dick, which is absolutely beautiful. Right, time to take my machete and just very quickly gather some basic starting supplies here. And an asylum worker uniform straight off the bat. Oh, well that's just lovely. Okay, general life pro tip here. If anyone who looks like this comes up to you, you run and you find a police officer. So, let's set some expectations here, because if you're expecting the entire world to now be a bustling metropolis full of towns and cities and traders and diddly-diddly-dee, you're gonna be disappointed. There's plenty of locations that basically still work exactly as they did back in the original version of 76. So one of my personal favourites, Lumberjack Protectron, is just chilling out by himself by the abandoned ruins of this here wood choppy place, whatever the technical name for one of them is.
Please enjoy this complimentary sample of wood.
I love Lumberjack Protectron, he's great. So this place is still ruined, just a handful of ticks and whatnot. You know, there's no new Lumberjack faction that have taken this place over. Excuse me, naff the flip off you. The Wixen Homestead down the road is just the same. There's a good amount of loot here, but it is just a handful of scorch guarding it. So plenty of locations are as they were, but with one crucial difference on this particular occasion. Which is Cheswick 2 is alive. The original Cheswick was dead when you came here in the original Fallout 76. Cheswick is now back, or rather like the son of Cheswick is, I suppose. Now. You may recall, I did do a several hour long video discussing what was wrong with Fallout 76 and how to fix it. And one of the things I flagged as a really major problem was, you fundamentally are going to struggle to have meaningful choice and consequence in an online shared environment game. For the simple reason that, if you made a change in the world that had a lasting consequence, you'd be denying that choice to somebody else. So the mediums don't really fit together particularly well. The way Bethesda have got around that is the interior of the Wayward is in fact instanced. Anything that happens in there has exclusively happened to me, to my character in my universe. Anyone else who goes in there will be visiting a different universe where different choices were made and thus different consequences may have come about going forward. Now, that's a decent compromise and a good way of making choices actually matter a bit more. Though, it does create the problem that, yeah, the consequences are going to be largely limited to what's happening inside that room and what other characters around the world might say to you later. You're not going to be able to make massive changes to the world in general for the simple reason that the world in general isn't instanced to you. Still, as I say, it's a good step forward. Let's go in and investigate.
Lady, I will paint the walls with you if you don't tell me where Crane's treasure...
Honey, you picked the wrong time to get a drink.
What are you... Hey! Who the hell are you?
And all of a sudden, I've got myself a gun in my face. But here we go. So, there are now skill checks. Not really skill checks because skills dropped out as of Fallout 4. But instead, we have got ourselves special checks. So basically, yeah, depending on what your special is, you may have alternative options available to you. So down at the bottom there, had I gone for charisma or luck for my first pick, I'd have access to, yeah, the ability to talk him down or maybe even just get lucky. And as a result of that, his gun would be jammed. Or with a perception of 2, I can notice that someone else in the room already has a gun, and unfortunately, yeah, I suspect this guy's about to get his brain blown out. Or I can just attack him, that's great. Or I can ask what's going on here, maybe learn a little bit more and access other checks further down the conversation. But as it's literally my first check, and as I am famously perceptive, yes indeed, guy over there, how about you just take this loser out?
Guy?
And down he goes. Lovely. In fact, you shot his arm off. Well done.
Well, not exactly the introduction to the Wayward I would have hoped for. Well, sorry about that, darling. First round's on me. Name's Duchess. There's something I could do for you.
And yes, indeed, I think we got the very briefest measure there of Crane's treasure, which I already would have heard about had I not been rude to the girls by the vaults.
Your guess is as good as mine, sweetheart. He busted in here saying I needed to turn over the location of some fellow named Crane, who I guess I must have served at some point or another. Since then, a steady stream of miscreants has been making my life irritating. Not exactly good for a budding business.
And go on, let's get back to the Overseer if we can.
Overseer, huh? So you must be the one. No, I haven't seen her, but I have heard her. My people found a tape she left behind for one of her dwellers at that camp across the way, though it is a bit out of date now. maybe you're the one she left it for. I'm happy to hand it over. Though, now that we've drifted naturally onto the topic of helping one another, maybe there's something you could do for me in return.
Oh, go on, Duchess, sure.
Just agreeing to lend us a hand in a little diplomatic intervention. See? That boy we put down? He's not the first of his crew to roll in here. But I want him to be the last. Normally, I'd send my people out to clean house. But my muscles run off, so I don't have the bodies to spare right now. But I'm willing to pay good money if you put an end to this for me. So, what do you say?
Sounds like a good new low-level introductory quest to me, but before I say yes, I'd like to hear the plan, because, yes indeed, we've got ourselves a big old pile of stuff we can ask about, so, it's so much better. It's just so much better. Now if I want to, I can just say, sure, absolutely, point me in the right direction, I'll go murder some folks for you. But if you want to, yeah, you can figure out, hey, do you want me to kill them, or would you rather I'd somehow diplomatically sort that out? Alternatively, yeah, the guy who just shot that guy while I was just distracting him, why not send him? He seems good at the murder.
Primarily because your security, other than me right now, are one former contractor and a robot that has no guns and thinks it's a cow.
To not put too fine a point on it. So I could absolutely use another set of hands if you're willing to lend them.
I mean, in some ways, it's a bit of a sad condemnation of the original state of Fallout 76 when it came out, but it's just so nice that when I get a quest, I get to, you know, ask questions about it, learn more about you, the place you live, the circumstances you're in, the reason you need my help, and why other solutions aren't viable. It's nice to have it back, damn it. I mean, we haven't really had this properly since New Vegas. Fallout 4, of course, did still have a dialogue system, but it was the simplified dialogue system, so you couldn't really go into detail on any particular question. Because, yeah, you typically had, yes, no, I'm going to be a sarcastic dick, or tell me more. But you didn't have much control over what tell me more was going to tell you more about. So, this is really the first proper Fallout speech system we've had since New Vegas, which is, yeah, it's nice to have it back. It's just really damn nice to have it back. And go on then, tell me, what do you want me to actually do here? Do you want them dead or alive?
I don't care how you deal with them. Sweet talk, string up their leader by his ears. Hell, buy them all ice cream sandwiches. Whatever you can do to get them to stop harassing us is fine by me.
And yes, indeed, as she suggests there, it's not just a case of go to location, kill raiders, which in Fallout 76 as it launched was pretty much what every quest was. There's gonna be a whole bunch of different solutions, which is lovely. Still, tell me the plan before I agree.
Only seems fair. The details, then. Now, each of these boys came in asking after Crane. I'm thinking we can make that work for us. How would you grab the attention of a bunch of single-minded thugs?
And here's something fun, by the way. So, a new type of speech check, which is if you have a skill under a certain level, then as a result of that, you get yourself a special solution. So, if my charisma was too high, I wouldn't be able to say this. But as my charisma is 1 or less, I can rather sadly say, I guess I'd mail invitations to them. That's what my mom did for my birthday party, though no one came to those either, which is just very sad, really.
Oh, darling. See, as fine as that idea is, you know, I was thinking we could take a different tack. Just give me 1 second.
They're kind of like the comedy speech check failure in New Vegas, but actually, you know, potentially they give you something positive, rather than just being a comical way of failing.
So what I've chicken scratched together here for you is the schematic for one custom-made Crane Treasure Hunting Inc. sign. If I didn't butcher the plans too bad, it's got a little system built in that'll make sending out an advertisement and getting this gang's attention a snap. You just need to build it, use the tape it spits out to tell the world you're open for business, and then convince any punks that show up to tell you where their boss is hiding. They did teach you all how to build from schematics up in that vault of yours, didn't they?
So yes indeed, this is also now kind of a tutorial for camps and building, which weirdly the original game didn't really have so much. I believe it spat up a miscellaneous quest when you got to the overseer's camp saying, hey, place your camp, but for the most part, you were never really forced by any quest in the early game to set up a camp and do some building, despite the fact that setting up a camp and building was, you know, one of the better, more interesting parts of the game. So, yeah, that kind of fills that little gap.
Hey, if you need a refresher, good old Morty Mort can help you out.
What are you on about, Mordecai?
Hey, nah, I'm not bragging or anything, but I've got some tapes that cover that very subject.
Oh, Mort, not the tapes. Well, you find yourself wanting a refresher? Talk to Mort. Of course you're gonna need materials, but we should have enough lying around to cover you there. Get you together a little care package. Throw some rations in there too, so you don't starve on me.
And there we go. She hands over the log, which is beautiful. I complete Wayward Souls, get me some XP and stuff and whatnot. Absolutely lovely. Also, as was briefly mentioned inside, yes, I am rather fond of Bessie. Outside here, the vaguely cow-covered sentry bot who does indeed, if you try and interact with her, just moo in a variety of fascinating, beautiful moo noises. I like that one in particular. It's very musical. So yes, we got ourselves some fun characters. Some fun characters going on here. Like a sentry bot that thinks it's a cow and doesn't actually have drivers for its weapons. But apparently it does a good job just sort of scaring people off anyway, which is, that's fun. That's a cute touch. So, first main objective here, need to get the supplies together to build that crane treasure hunting sign. So, that's going to mean putting down a camp, building something diddly-diddly-day. But first I need to get myself leveled up and gather some supplies, so the Mr. Farmhand has not tried to murder me. Well, that's fascinating. I guess maybe somebody did the quest that makes these guys passive. Very, very recently indeed. So, I'm just going to nip down the road to Flatwoods and very quickly do the basic introductory responders quest, because all the existing quests are still there. None of them have gone, like, missing or anything. By the way, you can just die whenever you're ready to. So thus far, I've been pretty bloody positive. Unquestionably, there's a lot of good stuff here, but there's also some stuff that doesn't quite work. And I think in Flatwoods, we start to see some signs of that. So, for example, up here, saints be praised, I found myself a settler that now spawns onto the map, except, you know, he hasn't already been murdered by someone else for whatever paltry possessions he currently has on his person, which is absolutely great. So, this guy's moved in here and has started work officially trying to, you know, settle inside Flatwoods, inside this territory. And speak to this guy and you can interact with him in a very limited way too. So for example, yeah, I'm probably carrying around a bunch of steel right now. Not giving you screws though. Screws are more valuable than life itself in Fallout 4/76 crafting. So steel though, you can have some steel if you want it. I'm guessing, however, I need to actually have it on my person. Normally, 76 works under the assumption that if it's in your stash, you're just deemed to have it under all circumstances. But for giving to NPCs, you actually need to have it on you, which is fair enough, I suppose, but it would be nice if NPCs played by the same rules as everybody else. Look, I'll come back and I'll give you some, because I'm curious what you're going to give me, because I've never actually given these people anything before. Here we go. So I've come back and I'm going to give him 10 steel scraps. So what does that actually get me, if anything?
I appreciate it. This is going to really help me out.
And okay, reputation, because this settler is technically part of the settlers faction. We'll be running into those guys later. But, you know, basically people who are just trying to do a little bit of rebuilding and whatnot. The problem is, while he's here, if you actually just, like, you know, look at the room he's officially working on and setting up and whatever, it's the same as it was the day the game actually launched. There's still trash all over the ground. The windows haven't been repaired. He hasn't, like, you know, boarded them up or anything like that. I think there is, like, a little bit of stuff over here, which is, yeah, occasionally he... Okay, that's interesting. Not seen that one before. Occasionally he slaps a bit of paint down and there's a blue paint thing right there. So his contribution is basically to just stand here and paint. It still feels like it's totally abandoned, like it did when, you know, you first showed up. And in fact, you can just steal all his stuff, and he doesn't actually care. While he's officially a settler, and it's nice that he's here, and it's nice you can interact with him, and it's nice that you can do tiny things to boost reputation up with a faction, he doesn't actually feel like he lives here. Because he doesn't act like he owns this place. He doesn't actually improve it. It doesn't feel lived in. It feels like he's been superimposed over an area that was already present in Fallout 76. Now, I know that's a fairly minor complaint next to the really major improvements, but little things like that, they're important. And as we go down into Flatwoods itself, that's going to get a little bit more on the significant side. Because Flatwoods, you see, is now inhabited by an actual NPC, so this is Heather Ellis, and she actually lives here.
Wait a minute. Are you one of those people who was in Vault 76?
Why, yes I am, and with Perception of 4, I'd have some form of special dialogue option with her, but I am not that high up, and I'm not going to be mean to her, I'm not going to lie, because, you know what, that didn't work out, and she seems like she's a nice sort, so I'm going to be nice.
I knew it! I could tell just by looking at you. I've always thought that life in a vault must be so amazing, with the robots and all the machines and having everything you need every day. Best of all, you're safe, which, let me tell you, is a thing us outsiders very rarely get to feel. Though I guess you're one of us now, so that's all in the past for you.
I'm going to be honest, Rob is very sympathetic to that view, given he just decided to hang out in the vault for an extra year and a half when everybody else cleared out. And here we go, with Charisma or Strength of +4, I could at this point basically just either talk her into giving me stuff or hold her up. But if I rob her, logically I'm not going to get anything good out of her going forward. So let's not do that just yet, not least as I physically can't. So she can just give you a little bit more information about nearby locations, like the agricultural centre and the resort up on the bridge over there, just beyond the far side of that. But the thing about Heather that really shows that, you know, we're halfway there but not quite there yet is the actual state of the town. Because my first thought the very first time I met her was, okay, so at this point, you know, there's a handful of settlers around, there's another one up there somewhere, we've got Heather right here as well. Officially she seems to like live inside this bar, because she seems to basically just wander between the bar and the church. So this seems to be like her home, and yet if you kind of, you know, look around, again, it doesn't feel like, well, she literally just said make yourself home, but she doesn't really seem to have done so. And the biggest problem that we run into here is you'd think if, you know, people were literally trying to live in and resettle Flatwoods, that they deal with the monsters that literally live in Flatwoods. But no, on the petrol station just outside town, literally maybe, what is that, like 100 metres, 150 metres from where Heather lives, the feral ghouls are still present. She's never actually gone and, you know, taken out the zombies that live just across from her home. And in the little campy section over here, I'm like 10% sure, yes indeed, these ghouls right here are also not actually as dead as you might hope they would be. So yeah, even though Heather lives here and a bunch of people live here, and literally it's being resettled by a group called the Settlers, it kind of feels like no one's ever explored this place. It still feels, if you just kind of look around, exactly like it did when nobody lived here. So it's not perfect. It's a lot better. There's a huge amount that's a really positive step in the right direction here, but yeah, I can't help be disappointed by the lack of redressing areas that are supposedly being resettled. And down by the river, presumably, yeah, the fresh running water they're literally needing to survive, Kesha McDermott's corpse is still there, because that's where it was in the original game, so that's where it remains. So they just kind of let a corpse rot next to the river that they draw their drinking water from, which it just doesn't feel right anymore. This is the sort of thing that feels like it needed to be changed. I know this is all minor stuff, but it does matter, because in Fallout this sort of thing has always mattered. Like, think back to Fallout 1, and when you rolled up to Shady Sands for the very first time, you can look around the town and immediately you can figure out roughly how that society works. They've got a farm, people are working on it, they've got a well, and thus a source of water. They have the basics they need to make society work, but Heather here, she's just chilling out by herself. You never see her farming, you never see her gathering water. She's here, but in a way, she isn't, because she's not here in any meaningful, identifiable way. Still, I've completed those quests, got up to level 5, so now I can get myself a big old pile of perks, and we're going to be in much better shape, because once I get to level 5, I can help myself to the level 5 weaponry. Love it. All of those were pretty much garbage mined. Right, I'll take a rank of action boy, because AP is, yeah, very low at the minute, that's lovely, and just keep pushing up perception, because as you may have noticed, if you get yourself one stat that's really high, that's going to be very useful. Arguably, rushing one particular stat, now because of the actual special checks, is more interesting than it used to be, which is good. That's a nice addition. And I'll take some more concentrated fire, level that up 2, I do enjoy concentrated fire. And you know what? Perception 4's enough for now. So let's also take a little bit of endurance. And yeah, the endurance perks just to slow down the rate of hunger and thirst ticking up. That's not bad. Okay, basic setup. Got myself a lovely level 5 pipe revolver. And honestly, yes, if you've watched my original playthrough, the pipe revolver stays terrifyingly workable right through into the mid and late game as long as you keep it up to your level. So yeah, I'm pretty much set for the time being. Pipe revolvers are really, really damn nice. So, time to do the new main quest. So, build the crane treasure hunting sign. Absolutely lovely. Now, I did figure out a fun little trick about this one, which is you're basically going to set down a camp, and then some bad people are going to show up. And by the way, who are you? What are you doing right now? Hello, what's your deal? Why are you kicking a car?
Building this place up is hard work.
Yes, I can see you're working extremely hard on kicking this car.
This is mine. I found it first.
Okay, you know what? You can just die, actually. So long, loser. Oh, got a stim pack out of that and everything. Here we go. Responder bots. On occasion, these guys will just, float around. And they're very useful, because when nasty people show up, because I'm about to invite nasty people to my camp, just in case my perception doesn't let me talk them down, these guys will help me out, because they will basically identify that bad people are bad. So go on then. Let's just slap down a camp, literally right here on the road next to these lads. So I've already been doing plenty of lovely, lovely scavenging, so I can just build this straight away. So yeah, it's very, very cheap to put together. Slap that down. It will need power, however, so just need a little bit of a generator. One basic generator, which can be in the floor, apparently. That'll be, yes, lovely. Nope, never mind. It doesn't want to be in the floor after all. Put you up to you. Absolutely lovely. That's just a sign, though. It can't actually attract people. So instead I need to go up the road to, hang on, what's it called? I can't remember what it's called. The broadcast tower that's just up the road from Flatwoods itself. Just nip there, plug in a tape, and then nip back to my lovely, lovely camp. When I came here during the private test server, it was, guarded by some, Scorch. But, as it turns out, as this is launch day, few people have already done that before me. So that's absolutely fine. Back to the camp we go. Oh gosh darn it, now my responder robot friends are way down the flipping road. Okay, well we'll try and lure people in this direction regardless. Hello over there, Mr. Treasure Hunter.
Whoa, you're not Crane. The hell's going on here?
So yes indeed, we need to find some information out about this Crane chap who everyone's asking after. So, yeah, tell me what you know, my friend.
Crane found the treasure? Holy shit. Where is he?
Gonna be honest, I was kind of hoping you'd be able to tell me, but, yeah, tell me more. Anything you do know.
Probably not much more than you. He came to Appalachia not far back, hunting for the same treasure everyone else is. Last time I saw him, he mentioned something about an abandoned storage facility he'd picked up some details on, but beyond the general, he didn't share. Now, your turn. Where is he?
Okay, fun fact about that. Actually, you know what? Sure, let's just point him in the direction of the Wayward, where you don't seem dangerous. You can buy a drink from the Duchess. I'm sure she'll appreciate the business.
Wayward, huh? Might be I pay the place a visit. Appreciate the tip, not Crane. Good luck out here.
I really hope that guy's not a troublemaker. Here we go, my robots are coming back this way. That's precisely what I wanted to say. So now, in case this gets nasty when Crane's goons do show up, we'll be in much, much better shape. Here we go, we've got ourselves some people coming in. Hello there, Mr. Free Radical, and, he doesn't have a... Okay, so some things in Fallout 76 still just sort of don't work.
You Crane? This it? Thought you were some kind of big shot. So, rumor is you've got information our boss wants. You tell me where this treasure is, and he's willing to leave you alone. Scout's honor.
You know what? I just don't trust the guy who's got, like, no head. I just don't flipping trust him in the slightest. And strength of 2+. You tell me where your hideout is, or I'll turn you inside out. And did I boost luck? I assume I boosted luck. Ah, no. I boosted my luck by eating a luck-boosting food item. Okay, so I'm willing to bet your name is Davy, and your nickname is something to do with your lack of a head.
Excuse me?
How does this jerk know your name? You're working together.
What? No! Can't you see they're full of...
The responders are here to keep you...
And what's happening? Okay, so those two guys are now... And now my robot friends are going to assist. Very, very nice indeed. So you can just go down, and are me and you cool? I feel like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to kill this guy. Actually, hang on, wait to see. Oh, I wanted to see whether he had a head in VATS, but sadly I've missed my chance. So, okay, the free radicals, as it turns out, are very much after Crane themselves, I see. Still, free spike to baseball bat, I shan't say no, that's probably pretty good. Still, now we know where we need to be going. The people who are sending thugs out trying to track down Crane are located at the West Virginia Lumber Co., which is not that Lumber Co. we saw earlier. It's a different Lumber Co. I remember the location actually. It was, yes, there we go, way, way, way up there. Because this whole bit of the map wasn't really used for anything in the launch version of 76. But now there's some stuff up there. So, I've got a location, but here's a really nice thing, by the way. I'm not just basically following her blindly, very much like, say, at the beginning of New Vegas, where you can say to Trudy, hey, what if I joined Joe Cobb's gang? You can say to Duchess, hey, what if I decided to go and, you know, work for those guys instead?
Well, honey, I'm not sure I'm a big fan of that line of thinking. But if we run along it, maybe those things don't need to be mutually exclusive. I just want those boys to stop threatening us. Now, if one of their own convinced them we weren't a threat, I'd be real indebted to that person. Might be I remember some things that could make their lives a bit more comfortable. But let's say we cross that bridge when we get to it. Now, did you find where these possible new friends of yours are hiding?
So all of a sudden, we've got ourselves a brand new potential way to resolve this quest. Not just tell them to naff off or charm them, some form of like charisma check, or murder them, or just get them what they're finding, but instead, literally, join the gang has been raised as a possibility. And yes, indeed, I've got the location.
Fantastic. So that's where their boss will be. You just need to...
Oh, wait, West Virginia lumber? That is not right. You misheard them for sure.
And that's of concern. Why, exactly?
Was wandering up that way not too far back. The lumber company? That place was overrun with a bunch of those big green bastards. Mutants. You've seen those Frankensteins. If this gang was able to clean those things out of the mill, these guys might be tougher than advertised.
You got any recommendations on how you'd proceed?
Well, I wouldn't go in guns blazing, unless you got some big guns. Could try and luck your way inside, maybe see if they want to talk to you. But there was this family I ran into up that way that I'm sure has had to deal with them already. There was also this, let's say, special scrapper who was making some pretty bold claims about his knowledge of the mill. Wouldn't be a bad idea to check in with either of them.
Alright, so once again, yet more options have started becoming available. Not just, you know, talk in, fight your way in, but a couple of other people who might be able to give me some more information. So we'll check in with both of them. So, here's my destination. Just follow the road up from Vault 76 and we got ourselves a farm for a family who might know something about this situation. Or, fairground where there's an odd scrapper who might have some alternative way to get in to the company up here. So, yeah, this is all very interesting, because it suggests that this might have been the plan all along. Like, you know, I was working under the assumption when Wastelanders was announced that, you know, it was something that they'd actually come up with after the initial response to 76 wasn't as good as they hoped it might be. But if you actually look at the map as it was in 76 when it launched and the map now, there are a lot of really empty areas that just didn't do anything in 76. But these days, they actually do. They've actually been filled up by all the new stuff, which does make me think potentially this was indeed the plan right from the beginning, which does in all fairness kind of raise the question, if this was the plan right from the beginning, should Fallout 76 ever have been launched in its launch state? Potentially waiting until it was in this form would have been, yeah, a lot better in terms of the initial response, because I suspected this game in this form, had it been released like this, it would not have received a fraction of the ire that 76 did when it came out. Okay, Anker Farm here, almost at level 6 already. Absolutely flippin' lovely. So, aha, this little area. Now, you might recall this place, because, yeah, that plane, this used to be on the actual title screen of the game when it first came out. But as you can see, unlike some locations, this one has had a bit of a refresh, because it's now more populated. So this is the sort of thing that, say, Flatwoods could really have done with. The fact that, you know, this area makes a bit of sense. They're actually, you know, growing something. It's a farm, so they've got themselves a farm here. They've set themselves up a little watchtower, converting an old water tower into a little kind of watchtower. That's kind of cool. They've got, you know, an identifiable source of food, water. They're protecting what they've got. This here, this is good stuff. It makes sense. I'm guessing the tower might have been here originally, though, because I'm pretty sure that is related to one of the quests that was in the base game. So possibly I just forgot about the tower. But the rest of it has definitely been added to at least a little bit. Alright, guns away. Daniel, let's me and you have a little chat about West Virginia lumber.
Plenty of unclaimed space up the road. Maybe you should give it a visit.
Aha, I'm being gently and politely moved on here.
Trying to let you know you're trespassing. Free to leave whenever you like.
Right, any chance you've heard of this here treasure everyone's after?
Treasure? Nothing but trouble. We'd hope to start new lives here. Private ones. So much for that.
Alright, but what about, yeah, the gang up at the lumber place?
West Virginia no. Don't know anything about them. Now, I'd like you to leave.
You, sir, are a terrible, terrible liar, and here we go. So, strength, charisma, or perception would get me the answer I need. But, just so you know, this isn't like, you know, just for show or whatever, if I just choose not to use any of the checks...
I'm sure what I know is none of your business. Now, how about you take a hike?
In short, literally, he will not speak to you. He will not give you the answer. The only way to get this information out of him is to pass one of the checks. If, however, I'm perceptive enough to notice that, you know, he's clearly lying...
Alright. We worked out a deal. Supplies for protection. What do you want to know about it?
And now, I can get myself some actually useful information. So, if I was planning to, say, storm the camp, up to this point, I had no idea how many people I was dealing with, but now I can find that out.
Plenty. A dozen, minimum. They don't let us in the main building, so I can't say how many were camped out in there.
So that's actually genuinely useful information if you were thinking about the violent solution. 12 outside, potentially more inside.
Bunch of cons from back east. They're not crazy, though. Not like the Blood Eagles or the Scorch, say. You can reason with them. They don't know how to farm or hunt. We do. So we worked out a deal. You have something you can offer them, you probably can too.
So once again, useful information. We know these guys aren't like, say, Raiders in Fallout 3 or Fiends in Fallout New Vegas. They're not going to shoot me on sight. I can actually negotiate with these people. They're not nice people, but I can.
Once a month. Food, ammo, scrap. Murray and me take it up to the mill ourselves. Gave us a password to get in. Blue Danube.
Alright, so now I've got myself a password. So, as was mentioned previously, I could have tried to just blag my way in. So, I think Mort specifically said maybe you'll get lucky. So, a high luck stat, much like, say, guessing the password. In Retcon headquarters in Fallout New Vegas, you might just be able to literally guess the password. In fact, if it turns out to be ice cream, that would be, that'd just be wonderful. But now I can just stroll in. So I know at the bare minimum, I can get to the interior without having to shoot anybody. And if I want to, I could threaten him at this point, but I'm not going to do that just in case I need him down the line.
Then by all means, beat it. Unless there's something else.
No, I'm good, Daniel, thank you. You've been very helpful. Speak of the devil, he did mention, yes, the Blood Eagles. So, Blood Eagles are basically your actual Raiders, Fiends stand-in. They will shoot you on sight, under all circumstances. You can't work with them, they're just dicks. But they are a good source of early game weaponry, if you need some, so excuse me. Excuse flipping me, your head just needs to pop off, wait for you to stop firing, and anytime you... Oh, bloody hell, I've been very... Darn it. Luckily, it's Fallout 76. Right, that laser weapon was more powerful than I thought. Luckily, it's Fallout 76. So, it's fine because I'm allowed to just simply respawn. So, I'm going to come and kill you guys and then re-get my stuff. Note to self, potentially invest in better quality armor. Right, I'll be having that laser pistol too. That thing seems pretty damn nice. And I thought I saw someone with a shotgun. Good. Shotguns are really nice and powerful in this game. Also, between them, they had 5 leather right arms, but no left arms. I feel like I'm coming across some form of elaborate leather armor-related tax scam here. Still, let's stick with the, spiked baseball bat for now. That's got a real good hit to it, and it doesn't actually, you know, use ammo, which is very, very convenient indeed. Ah, yes, the fairground, where some of you may recall, Dan and I built a really beautiful 2-layer apartment against that billboard, back when we were doing our little tiny buildy series together. That was fun. Right, I just saw one of you right over here. So how about, no, over here. Over here you come, please, and you can just die by being hit with a bat. That'll do for me, and I just happen to have leveled up, which tops up my health. Lovely. Right, where were the rest of you? Because I'm going to hit all of you with a spiky bat. I mean, yeah, against level 1 Scorch, this should be pretty much a one-hit kills. This thing is nice, if a little bit on the slow side. Anyway, hidden away right up top here, you may notice from the volume of blood, I've killed a few more of these bastards. We've got ourselves, yes, an odd scavenger hanging out in the middle of a ruined fairground by himself.
Hey, get the hell out of here. Oh, you're not one of those creeps. Well, you here to rob me? With joke's on you, don't got nothing.
And go on then, you've been bragging about how you've been able to get inside this place.
Ah, you talked to the well-done guy, huh? Well, yeah, I got a little trick up my sleeve. Could kill them all, if I wanted. But I'm not just giving it away. You gotta get me something.
And go on, what is it you want? Though I should point out, yeah, with strength of 8, I can just intimidate him into handing it straight over immediately.
Island nearby's got a big nest in it. Bring me an egg? I'll give you what I got.
And yes, indeed, if you're familiar with this game, you know what island he's talking about.
Something nasty enough that I don't want to do it? Up to you, though.
And any chance you're going to give me the slightest hint what you're going to actually be handing over?
Government-issued astral transporter. Snagged it on my way out of the lab. Takes your physical form and drops it right into the astral plane. Makes you nearly invisible. Makes it a whole lot easier to take folks out of this world at the same time.
Bit of an odd explanation, but he means, yeah, a stealth boy. But if you've got that, why don't you just go in and rob these guys and take all their stuff yourself?
Makes you invisible, not agile. I can't run so good since I escaped from the government. But I bet you can.
Right, so naturally, yes, stealth boy, absolutely lovely. So you could head over and try and steal an egg from a Deathclaw. Don't you have to kill the Deathclaw, you can just get the egg and run, because the Deathclaw can't swim, which raises questions as to how it got on the island in the first place, but you can just get the egg and leg it. Absolutely. But now I'm curious about, yeah, how generous this game is when it comes to, you know, murdering people as a solution. So we're just going to get behind you. And are you actually... No, sadly, as a named questy person, you cannot murder him. And I'm guessing you can't... No, you can't actually pickpocket him either. Still, we don't need one of them, but that's another option. So, right at this point, we've got just try and blag your way in, get yourself a password to be allowed in, shoot your way in, here's a flipping stealth boy, so sneak your way in. So, the game isn't kidding about when, you know, it wants to be more Fallout-y. This is already easily a more Fallout-y quest than anything that was in 76 at launch. It's a massive step forward. Aha! And I can confirm there's also semi-randomised events, because when I visited this exact location just further up the road towards the lumber mill in the private test server, the people that were located here were 2 scientists who were just running some experiments on the water, though they weren't particularly clear on who sent them. I'm not sure they actually had anything to say. I think you just spoke to them and they didn't actually have a proper dialogue tree or anything. But now, instead, we've got ourselves a trader.
If you need your fix, I'm the guy.
Ah, specifically a drug trader. And here's a cute thing you don't normally get to ask in a Fallout game. Yeah, what sense does it make being a drug dealer in a world where, you know, you can just find drugs everywhere, constantly?
What I got is better. You ever hear about that Mothman? You think people are actually seeing that shit?
Ah, okay. So that's a cute way to introduce the Mothman if you haven't run into him yet. And here's something that's very rarely an option in even the best Fallout games. Find yourself a trader and potentially, if you're strong enough, you can just intimidate them into handing stuff over. That's very cool. Oh, and she's not kidding. She's actually got some good stuff on her. Not just drugs, but she'll sell you the recipe for drugs. She's actually genuinely very useful. Aha, so we're coming upon the camp, but I'm also seeing not just a super mutant, but a new returning enemy here. Hello there. You are a floater. Not seen since the days of Fallout 2. In fact, so those come in a few varieties. Flamey, freezy, or one more that I forget, but I saw these in the patch notes. So yeah, first time these guys have ever been rendered in 3D. Right, line up a shot here, and what do we do with you? And do you burst by any chance when you die? You do, you burst. That does make sense. Right, hello there, Mr. Super Mutant. We're just going to take you down because, yeah, level 5 pipe revolvers. Very, very good weapons. Love it. Oh, yeah, these guys are, they're weird. Still, I can help myself to some bonus oil and a floater flamer pus sack, whatever that is precisely. Okay, so we got ourselves a camp here, and that over there is the front gate. But now I'm curious. In theory, with the benefit of the stealth boy, could I just actually find, you know, a place to, well, you've trapped this. Aha. You could. Okay, so there's a little back door here that I'm guessing someone who passed through previously left open. Possibly that's locked. I'm not 100% sure, because it's open right now. But that there, that's the alternative way in. So talk your way in, do quests for passwords, sneak your way in, stealth boy or not, or just relying on your stealth skill. There's so much good here. They've actually turned Fallout 76 into, like, you know, a Fallout game. Not one of the best ones. I mean, you know, we're not talking about the level of New Vegas here, but it's just such a bloody step forward. It's just something I'm glad to see, because I love this franchise, and I love this universe, and it was so frustrating that Fallout 76 wasn't as good as it should be, and maybe, at least now, it's a bit better. Okay, so, front door, and as we were told, these guys are not the shoot-first guys, okay? So, have a chat to the intercom.
What is it?
And remember, I've got myself a password, though I could offer to join. You know what? Screw it, let's see what happens if you offer to join.
Don't take in strays. Unless someone gave you the password, you can take a hike.
Alright, so that hasn't worked out just yet, but here we go. Blue Danube, absolutely lovely.
Go on through.
Alright, so I'm now allowed to walk in. Everybody is absolutely A-okay with me being here. Marvellous. So yeah, just as Mort mentioned previously, this area used to just be, yeah, a bunch of super mutants on the edge of the map, but nothing major going on. But now it's maybe not a town, but at the bare minimum it's, you know, a camp. Okay, so the boss is inside this building right in the centre of the camp. But that building over there, yeah, that's where the secret door is. So there's maybe a handful of people dotted around here, like one level 1 free radical, or actually, it looks to me like you could just swim into this camp if you don't want to actually handle the lock, or you don't have the lock picking ability. Yeah, this place goes right down to the water. Swim in, they'll never see you coming. So that's another approach, though you are right here to try and stop people doing that, I'm guessing. So might need to snipe off that guy if you want to just swim in. But once you do that, you're pretty much straight through to here. And bear in mind, of course, middle option number 6, 7, whatever. I've taught my way in with the password. If I want to just kill this guy now, murder him, come back outside, then I can just toss myself in the river. Job done. Don't need to pass through the rest of the camp at all. And speaking of which, as I've just entered, you know, a separate area, I'm guessing this is instance to me. Okay, this place has a few floors, so maybe 4 or 5 enemies I've seen so far internally, and hello there.
Managed to get himself killed. That was a long shot anyway. I always figured it'd take someone coloring with a full box of crayons to find us our prize.
Alright, so there we go. There's our boss. So, as the game says, I can just shoot this guy right now. Absolutely fine, no problem. When I say no problem, he's level 9. And he does have a bodyguard, and now I am 2 floors down from a door in the middle of an enemy camp. So there will be some enemies dotted about. But then again, I could use the stealth boy to get me a sneak attack critical. Combine that with a normal critical. That might well be enough to finish him off. That could be good enough. But, here we go. The Wayward Interrogation. Give this a quick play.
Say it again so the mic can hear you. The name.
Crane.
And where is this Crane?
I saw him. We were at this bar. The Wayward, just north of Flatwoods.
And what does he know?
He said he was on the trail of this vault.
The people kind or the richest kind?
The kind that holds stuff.
The kind that holds stuff. I'll consider the topic clarified. You think it's the treasure?
I don't know. He didn't say.
Well, seems like that'd be worth finding out, wouldn't it?
Yes?
Are you afraid of me?
Oh god, yes.
Don't be. We're not monsters here. We're pragmatists. You can get off the floor.
Are you... You're not going to kill me?
Not unless you give me a reason. Do you have a place to go?
No.
Do you want one?
What would you need me to do?
Go upstairs. Have a meal and a drink. Share what you know. Maybe it'll jog some memories. From there, we can talk.
And if I wanted to leave?
We're all free men and women here. A little family. We take care of our own. Rest of the world, be damned.
Now that tape, I really like that tape. That's an important tape, because very often in Fallout, specifically Bethesda Fallout, you'll find, plenty of notes and evidence and environmental details that very clearly specify, hey, raiders, bad. They capture people, they enslave people, they're murderers, they're rapists, they're irredeemably bad, which is why they shoot at you on sight and it's okay to shoot at them on sight. But here, we've specifically gone out of the way, despite the fact these guys are, very much dressed like, just standard raiders from Fallout 4 or whatnot. The sort of people who normally you'd shoot without a second thought. Bad, nasty people who've done terrible things and thus it's morally okay. The game's gone out of its way to clarify these people are not going to be murdering people. They're not going to be taking advantage of the weak. Okay, they're not the nicest people in the world, but they're not monsters. They're just people trying to get by. And potentially if they weren't dressed in, quite such, stereotypical raider gear, they might be very nice people indeed. So, we're not talking about, just bad people as need to be gunned down here. We're talking about an alternative faction, an alternative point of view. So, let's have a chat with you and see what we can do, my friends.
You the one with the password? Presume someone gave it to you because they thought you could be useful. Name's Roper. Now, explain to me why the hell you're taking up my air.
And if this doesn't go right, we can just shoot him anyway. So, leave the Wayward alone, join the crew, looking for an overseer. No reason to think he'd know anything about that. He's been nowhere near where the overseer is. But, yeah, let's just start off with his take on who they are.
Just a little band of friends, working together for the common good. Our common good. We call ourselves the Free Radicals, because that's what we are, free. Now, you have any other time wasters you wanted to throw at me?
I'm gonna be honest, I don't see how he's any more free than anybody who's not in the Free Radicals, because you clearly have a society that's got, a hierarchy to it, same as, all the other societies. But, okay, we'll get into the specifics later, but, yeah, rather than threatening him, what if I did just try and join?
And I want a diamond-studded vertibird. So I guess that means we're both left wanting something. Explain to me why you should get yours.
Also, I don't know if this is just me, but it really does feel like the script's a step up from Fallout 4's. I feel like the script is much more snappy. The character's much better drawn. So, okay. What are we going to do here? And aha. Okay. With strength, agility, or intelligence of 4, I could talk my way in. However, sadly, I cannot. So, now I want some time and stun vertebird. I mean, the script feels Fallout 3-ish, with like moments of slightly surreal, dark humour. That's always been the tone I personally have associated with the humour of Fallout. So, it works for me. For me, it does work pretty nicely. So, okay. Yeah, Crane's treasure. We know you're after Crane's treasure. That's probably a good starting point.
That's so. You bring me that treasure, then yeah, you have a place here. Well, what are you waiting for? Go find my pot of gold.
So we could have just shot this guy in the face, but no, we're going to do this diplomatically and maybe even end up joining a raider gang. But that is enough for now, ladies and gentlemen. This here is Fallout 76 Wastelanders, and okay, there's a lot of good here. There's a lot of improvements. There's a lot of promise. So we need to give this a little bit more of a look. More of this coming over the course of this week. Another part coming up tomorrow. In fact, we're going to dive straight into a little bit more of this because this is really promising. There's some really good steps in the right direction. So hopefully you join me tomorrow for a little bit more of this. But in the meantime, I've been John. This has been many a true nerd, and this has been Fallout 76 Wastelanders. Thank you very much, and goodbye. If we just hide the bodies, nobody needs to know about this. Yes! My stupid plan has worked! It turns out I'm a genius! The giant rat scorpion is not gone! Oh, hang on, there's more yet, though. I'm still being very shocked. Guys, where's the NCR? Nobody needs to know.